Welcome in to Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs. We're going to break down the top two remaining free agent targets for your Houston Texans, both on the offensive side of the football. The Texans have been signing a lot of defensive guys lately. But before we get into it, we are still on the road to 30,000 subscribers before the start of the NFL draft. So if you want me to go live for any of the NFL draft, I want to go live. I want to live react to these Texans picks. You got to hit that sub button. If you haven't already, it's 100% free. So go down, hit that sub button, and help us get to 30,000 subscribers. Coming up on the show today, like I said, the top two guys, the top two targets left for your Houston Texans before the NFL draft. I feel like towards the end of this week, it's going to start slowing down, but I have two top-tier guys that the Texans could still sign. The first one, I think most of y'all probably know who this is and have heard, probably countless NFL insiders link him to the Houston Texans, and it is Cooper Kupp of the LA Rams. Just recently got released. The Rams were holding out hope, trying to trade him before the new league year, trying to make sure that they could maybe save some money by trading him instead of cutting him. But they end up cutting the 31-year-old wide receiver, 67 receptions this past year, and, hasn't been able to stay on the field the past 3 years. But, he's still good enough to be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in this league. The Texans already have Nico Collins. They already have Christian Kirk. Adding a guy like Kupp brings a lot of versatility to this wide receiver room and adds a little bit more star power to this team to where you have a decent core of guys with Nico, Kupp, and Christian Kirk. I think this could be a good option for the Houston Texans if they want to go out and add another weapon for CJ Stroud and help out the other wide receivers in the room. He's worked with Nick Caley before. The past 2 seasons with him hand in hand with the LA Rams. So if he can come in, kind of help out with the verbiage, help out with the playbook a little bit in the wide receiver room, it could be a huge help for your Houston Texans. Now, go down in the comment section. I've heard people on both sides of this argument saying Texans do not need Cooper Kupp. He's washed, he's old, and other people saying, no, go out and sign Cooper Kupp. It needs to happen. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Do you want the Texans to sign Cooper Kupp? You get hit with the YouTube ad break here. All good. Scroll on down and give me your thoughts. I'm down for the right price. I believe the Spotrac evaluation for him was around $12 million at the start of NFL free agency. I don't want the Texans to break the bank. I don't want them to spend more on Cooper Kupp than they're going to spend on Christian Kirk because he is on the wrong side of 30, and I do think his best days are behind him. He's a great wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in this league, but he should be paid as such. He shouldn't be paid wide receiver 1 money if he's coming in. And the only thing that worries me about Cooper Kupp, the main thing that worries me about Cooper Kupp is the reported teams that are interested in him, which there's a lot of teams that you'll see on this list, all of which have been reported by either, an Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter to have some level of interest in Cooper Kupp. And a lot of these teams have a lot more money than you. The New England Patriots have been going out on a spending spree. The Las Vegas Raiders have more money than you. Most of these teams on this list have more money than you. And it is worthy to be noted that it has also been reported that he would prefer to stay on the West Coast, would like to stay there. That's where he's kind of settled down, has his family and everything. So maybe look out for the Chargers, the Raiders. It's not listed on there, but maybe the Arizona Cardinals, the Denver Broncos. All those teams are still on the West Coast. But we shall see if that's the route that Cooper Kupp is going to go in. I know the Texans will at least try to talk to him, try to talk to his agent, and see if there's something they can work out there. Now, the other target that the Houston Texans will be looking at, one of their bigger targets left on the offensive line market, maybe he's, besides Mekhi Becton, which I honestly don't think Mekhi Becton is going to the Houston Texans. I think if they're going to go out and get a big-name offensive lineman, it'll be Teven Jenkins, formerly of the Chicago Bears, a former first-round pick for the Chicago Bears out of Oklahoma State. I think he's the big-name offensive lineman. If the Texans sign anybody, it will be him. And, it excites me, but it also worries me. And I'll tell you why. Teven Jenkins, when he's on the field, is really good. Look at his PFF numbers from this past year. And PFF, they're notable tough graders. All of his grades mid-70s, 75.4 overall, 75.8 pass blocking, 74.3 run blocking, 4 sacks, 4 penalties on 738 snaps. Teven Jenkins is a really good guard. He's a, I would say top half of the league guard when he's on the field, and that's the problem with Teven Jenkins. I actually talked to our Bears host in Harrison Graham, and, he kind of highlighted a couple things for me of saying, run game, he'll be really good, and that's something that the Texans want to do. They want to get him into the run game. They want to make sure that this run game with Joe Mixon is going to be better, a stronger, tougher offensive line overall. But at the same time, he's missed a lot of time. And if you just want to go to the List 10 logo, we can do that first. The best ability is availability. And that is the biggest problem with Teven Jenkins. Look at this. And the thing is, it's deceiving with the amount of games that he's played to how much he actually plays. Because, if you look at 2024, it says he played in 14 games. But look at the amount of snaps that he's played in those 14 games. Only 64.9% of the available snaps for the Chicago Bears. And the same thing can be said in almost each of the years prior to, Teven Jenkins, him playing with the Chicago Bears. All of those times, he hasn't played in all of the games. 13 games played, but he will leave games early. He gets injured often. And you never want to, label a guy as injury prone or say this guy can't hang. He's somebody who gets injured a lot. That does seem to be the case with Teven Jenkins. And our Chicago Bears host, Harrison Graham, did give me a little blurb of something that he wanted to tell me about Teven Jenkins. And if it's not working, I can just read it out to them, Dylan. He said this: Teven Jenkins is one of the better guards in the league. He wins with power and athleticism in the run game and is a solid pass protector that occasionally gets beat. Unfortunately, injuries have piled up, and he's guaranteed to miss time. So there you have it. I showed you the graphic of kind of proving what our Bears host Harrison Graham has to say about Teven Jenkins, and that's the main problem. Do you sign somebody to a decent-sized contract that misses this much time? I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that, and I think that's why he could still be a free agent right now, is the fact that, and I'm actually just getting from Harrison Graham, he was a second-round pick. I said earlier that he was a first-round pick. He was a second-round pick by the Chicago Bears. The problem is he's a young guy. He's a good young player. So he probably wants to cash in. This is the first time that Teven Jenkins is going to be a free agent in the NFL. So he's probably wanting big money. But a lot of teams are probably hesitant from that graphic that I just showed you, how often he's injured. Because you want to pay a guy $10, $11, $12 million a year who might only play 60% of the snaps? No, of course not. That's bad business. So that is the biggest hiccup with Teven Jenkins. Maybe they sign him on a 1-year, 2-year deal at a lower evaluation. Maybe one of those other teams that is really needy for a guard just says, whatever with the injuries, we're going to sign him to a big contract anyway. But I do think the Texans will have interest because they're going to have an emphasis on being a stronger unit up front, a better run blocking unit up front. But we'll see if they go with Teven Jenkins. If not, I could see them drafting 2, 3 offensive linemen in the NFL draft this year. So that leads me to this question. I'm going to break down all the Texans signings up until this point in just a moment. But before I do, go down in the comment section and let me know how many rookies do you think will start for the Texans this year. And no matter who they draft, no matter how many rookies are starting for the Texans offensive line, you'll be able to get their jerseys with our friends over at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Texans jerseys to go check them out today. All of the players are available on the website. All the different colors as well. If you want the white, if you want the battle red, if you want the new H-Town one, all of them are available. One more time, chatsports.com/Texans jerseys. That link will be in the comment section and description of today's video. It'll send you over to our friends at Fanatics, but you got to use this link so they know that we sent you. Help us out and go get a Texans jersey while they are hot off the press. Now, I promise you, we're going to go over all the Texans moves in free agency. Just a little recap if you've been living under a rock. Maybe this is your first video that you're watching of mine. Dario Gumbawale, also Kurt Hines was re-signed early in free agency. Christian Kirk was traded to the Texans for a 7th-round pick to from the Jacksonville Jaguars. A reunion with Sheldon Rankins, the defensive tackle, Braxton Berrios, and Alex Earl. Like I said, Alex Earl you ever want to come on the show, let me know. 1 year, $2 million deal there. They re-signed Derek Barnett. They got a really good special teamer in Traymon Smith, 2 year, up to $7.5 million. Darrell Taylor, a pretty good rotational edge rusher, 1 year, $5.25 million deal. Justin Watson, a very interesting move there, wide receiver from the Chiefs. We don't have the full details yet, but he was also signed by your Houston Texans. Another re-signing, Jake Hansen, 1 year, $1.7 million deal. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Texans for Kenyon Green. And the other big trade, we sent Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders for a buttload of picks. We also signed Laken Tomlinson, the veteran guard, 1 year, $4.25 million. Mario Edwards was another re-signed, 2 year, $9.5 million. And then the latest moves, MJ Stewart, the safety, helps out in special teams a lot. He was re-signed. Nick Neiman, another special teamer, another linebacker depth guy, was signed 2 year, up to $6.5 million. And then late last night, I made a short on it, but the Texans signed another defensive lineman. They are just stacking up the D-line this offseason. It does make me wonder about Danico Autry. They signed Casey Toohill to a 1 year deal as well. So that's my full recap. Those are the big two guys that you got to look at in free agency, Cooper Kupp and Teven Jenkins. Make sure you hit that sub button and don't miss a moment of Texans football. You can either hit that sub button. Also, though, if you want to stay up to date with the latest going on around the NFL, the Texans, anything, maybe just my personal life, go hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open.